Have you ever struggled with a decision for a really long time and known deep down inside what the answer is, but just been afraid to admit it to yourself? That's kind of where I've been, and I'm finally going to take the leap and make it happen. Okay, guys, I have made a big decision that has been a really long time, and I'm going to share that with you right now. As you can see, it is a gray, dreary morning today, and it's actually a big winter storm heading through, so a lot of you might be affected. I was supposed to be completely under snow and ice by now, but I'm not, so I thought I'd step out for a little minute before it gets super cold and tell you what's been going on and about the big decision that I finally made, which I think is going to feel very liberating once this thing's in, but I'm still processing. If you've watched my last couple of videos, you'll know that I have been struggling with burnout and haven't been posting very much and just trying to kind of figure out what is next in my life and how I'm going to make sure that I do the things that I want to do before it's too late. And I hope that all of you are in that place where you're doing the things that you want to do before it's too late. But sometimes making those decisions and the trade-offs between, well, I could do this or I could do that is pretty challenging. Let me back up a few years. I spent my entire career in corporate marketing, working for companies ranging from, well, I worked for UPS as a while, so that's the biggest company I ever worked for, and I worked for some small startups, and I had a great time for all of it. It was tough, it was challenging, but it was also an amazing adventure in building a career, in traveling. I went to some really cool places, like even the Canary Islands, so I went places I never imagined that I would go. But by 2010, I was really struggling with just some of the challenges of that kind of life, and also the fact that some people are just crappy. There are some people who will just do anything they can do to get ahead, and everybody else just can fall by the wayside. They don't care. I'm sure you've met people like that in your life. And having some of those people in my corporate life really made things difficult. Back in 2010, I knew that I was probably going to end up being laid off from my job about 6 months in advance. I started socking away money and decided that I was going to go out on my own again. And I actually had a small business way back when my youngest daughter was a baby. And I left that company, or closed that company, so I could go to UPS, which was a great career move. But in 2010, I was like, I just need to go back out on my own again. I need to take control of what I'm doing and not be dealing with some of these crappy people. And I started consulting, and my mantra was, life is too short for bad clients. If I was working with somebody and they just really showed their true colors, then we never worked together again, and that was my choice. And I felt like I had a pretty good business, and I had flexibility, which was really nice because that allowed me to take the time to go hike the Appalachian Trail in 2018. And then, as you know, my story, I came back, I ended up getting divorced, I had to rebuild my life. And so I really wasn't working a whole lot, but I did pick it up a bit when I was in Colorado. And instead of just doing consulting work, I was doing some interim marketing executive work. So working remote for a company as their VP of marketing and doing things like that, which was fun. But again, it was like having a job that I didn't really want because, you know, when you're working with like another company in a role like that, you know, you have accountability to a lot of people, the CEO, the people who are on the team, all those kind of things. And there's nothing wrong with accountability. But at the same time, it's a lot of pressure, and you do end up being exposed to some of those people who are kind of negative, and I just don't want that negativity in my life. So I'm trying to structure my life, and have been trying to structure my life to avoid that, to avoid those people as much as possible, and surround myself with positive, upbeat, growing people, people who are willing to take on changes and challenge themselves and grow as humans. Those are the kind of people that I want to be around. So I did a little bit of that when I was in Colorado, but since we have moved back here to Northwest Georgia, I haven't been doing that kind of work. I've been focused on the house and doing tons and tons of things to fix up the house, which you'll be seeing shortly. And I went back to work at the Outfitter, same company that I was with in Boulder, but now here in the Atlanta area. It's like an hour commute. It's long. So I'm only doing that for like 2 to 3 days a week, which I really, really enjoy. The customers are amazing. My coworkers are amazing, and I like that. But it's not a corporate job. It's not a career job. It's a fun job. And I've struggled a bit because people in my life have said, well, when are you going to get your business up and running? When are you going to start consulting again? And people would even send me job postings like, oh, this job looks like a really great fit for you. And I literally would read it and I go, that's a cool job. I'm excited about that. And then I'd think about doing an application myself, think about putting myself in that role. And I would literally get sick to my stomach. I just had such a visceral reaction, and not just once, not twice, many times. And I was like, I can't do that. I have just reached the point in my life where I cannot do that kind of work anymore. It's in my rearview mirror. It was a wonderful experience. I learned so much. I need to move on to something else. And I mentioned in my last video, I'm turning 60 this year, which is a big milestone. And I'm in a very fortunate position where, although I am not by any means wealthy, I'm in a position where I think that I can call it as say that I am retired from corporate life. Not retired completely, because I'm going to continue to do things to have an income. I'm going to continue to do things, like YouTube, which doesn't make a lot of money, but other types of content creation types of work, and keep working with the outfitter and helping outfit people and help them get on their way to achieve their dreams. So those things are all really positive and fulfilling and uplifting kinds of things that I can put my focus on. Working with nonprofits, or even maybe taking a board role with a company that is growing, or an organization, a nonprofit that needs some advice in the marketing realm, I would be happy to do that. But I don't want to go back into that corporate world. I don't want to go back and start hunting down new clients for my consulting business. I just don't want to do that anymore. I've struggled with making that decision. I've struggled because even though it's been in the back of my head for, I don't know, 2 years now, that the time was coming and that it wasn't really something that I wanted to keep doing, I could not acknowledge it to myself. So yesterday I sat down at home in preparation for the storm that isn't yet. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to update my LinkedIn profile, because just putting it out there and saying officially that I'm retired from corporate life is a huge, huge step for me. And I think that by taking that one action, that's going to give me the psychological confirmation that I need to say, okay, it is okay to close that door. It is okay to put that in the past and move forward into new adventures and new opportunities. It's pretty scary. It's very scary, especially because, obviously I won't be able to take Social Security for a few years. I won't be able to get Medicare for a few years. So I'm going to have to fund my own lifestyle. I'm going to have to cover my own insurance and take care of things like that that are pretty expensive. And of course, I own a house, so there's things like repairs, improvements, property taxes, insurance, all that kind of stuff that comes with owning a home. But I love it, and I'm on the tail end of the renovation, so it's really turning into the home that I always hoped that it would be. My glasses are fogging up. Anyway, that's kind of what we're having. I've decided it's time for me to just own that decision, accept that decision, not be afraid of that decision, and lean into whatever is next. So I hope that you will continue along this path with me, continue watching as I pursue new adventures, new challenges, and I will look forward to seeing you here again next time.